Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to my little Minisode, Part B, for Heat B, of course. Welcome once again, more unscripted ramblings from yours truly, Jimjamatic here. Now, this heat was a heat of death. Hands down. I mean, people thought the heat of death from Series 9 was bad, with, you have Supernova, Pulsar, Einstein 3. No. This was a heat of death, in my opinion. And it was an amazing heat. There were some problems with it, granted. There was a couple of fights that weren't that interesting. We'll get to those. But overall, the quality of the robots was great. I really enjoyed the battles. And not much to say, I just got on with it. And of course, the first one to talk about is, the reigning champions, Carbide. Having a few slip-ups in this heat. Most notably a little tyre falling off. But really, apart from that, and a little battery issue, they didn't really have many problems in this heat. I mean, Gabriel 2, which I'll get to in a sec, did give them a bit of a problem by not dying. But apart from that, Carbide was there. Dave was giving his 150% smug face, like he proudly can, because he's got a robot to be smug about. And it's genuinely a really good robot. It's a little bit predictable sometimes. Like, for example, there's only so many times I can watch it go against Aftershock and Eruption, it win in the same way, and think to myself, I'm enjoying watching this robot. But at the same time, I still think it's a respectable robot. It's a great robot, and I can't wait to see what happens in the grand final, because obviously it's going to have a chance to fight Behemoth, and potentially one of the robots in the 10-way melee, so this will be very interesting, and Carbide definitely proved its worth in the heat. But next, of course, the star of the episode, in my opinion, was obviously Gabriel 2. My God, I love this robot. I love Gabriel. I loved it. I wasn't sure about it in Series 8, because obviously I'd never seen it live on the live circuit, so I didn't know how good it would be. It was amazing. And then this series, while it didn't pull off that kind of power that it did, because it didn't really use the axe as much. They used most of their tanglement device. The star of it was its durability. It took Carbide's hits like it was nothing, and it still survived. It was battered. It was barely working sometimes by the end of it, but it won in a moral victory sense, not in a real judge's decision sense. Gabriel 2, I love the team. I love Team Sane. I love Craig. I love the kids. They're absolutely amazing, and just this whole group, I absolutely love them all. And Gabriel 2, it was a shame we didn't get to see him in Series 9, apart from their wheel and little background shots. But we now have finally seen them again, and it is great to see him again. And I love seeing Gabriel 2. It was perfect. Just a shame that Aftershock was able to hit its body and kind of get its weak point in a way. Then, of course, we have Big Nipper, i.e. the only good robot to come out of Lancashire, finally getting into a potential grand final, which is amazing. They're always going to appear in the grand final, at least, in the 10-way melee. And yeah, Lancashire's not had a good track record of robots. We have like Colossus, Megahertz. Our best robot previously was Cedric Slam, which in some ways looks kind of similar to Big Nipper with its spinner. But Big Nipper is definitely really great. Its spinner, bit hit or miss. It was kind of close to the robot, but when it got a hit, it really got a good hit in. Just ask Smash. And it took out Aftershock. That was the biggest, no pun intended, that was a big shock for me. I don't even know if I can say that, really. It was a shock. It took out the 4th seed, essentially, and beat them kind of easily as well, with that especially the big hit. We'll get to that in the battle, of course, but yeah, that was amazing. I love the team's awesome. Again, go Lancashire. Lancashire represent. Then we had Team Shock with Aftershock. A little bit disappointed by Aftershock this series. We didn't get to see them really do too much in this heat. I mean, yeah, they got some damage in Crackers and Smash, but then they got flipped out of the arena, and then they did beat Gabriel 2, but not in like absolutely, heart-pounding victory, and then losing to Big Nipper was a bit of a shame for them as well. To see a robot that was a twice grand finalist to go out in the heat with no chance of redemption in the 10-way melee was kind of a shame. It was a shame for Team Shock. I mean, hopefully Will with Traction might be able to do well. We never know, because Traction's really going to survive robots like Terahertz and Apex really well. We all know that. But Aftershock is still great robot, just a very big shame. Honestly, they were in a hard heat. They had 2 grand finalists against them, both of which have actually beaten them, and they beat them once again, and didn't get a rematch with Eruption because they didn't really make it to the thing. But you know what? good on fair play. It was fun to watch. Then we have Eruption. A lot of people slate it for being kind of boring to watch. I'm sort of on the fence. I think it's a really great robot. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as last series, where literally every flip was out of the arena. The only time it flipped something out of the arena was in the first battle, and that was it. Every other time it actually had quite a tactical battle, especially with Big Nipper. That was a fun battle to watch. It was definitely a lot. I actually preferred it this series because it didn't actually intend on flipping everything out of the arena like it did in Series 9, where it became boring. Here, it was just actually quite fun to watch. Eruption was interesting. I mean, it's not my favourite robot ever, I'm not going to say I absolutely adore Eruption, but as a flipper goes, it's a very good flipper. Although I do prefer Behemoth, sorry guys, but Eruption is still a good robot. And then we had Crackers and Smash, the robot I thought would get smashed in this heat, and they kind of did. Quite badly. Mostly Smash. Crackers got stuck into the house robots, particularly Circular Lot, and Smash went into orbit, so to speak, and crashed down like a meteor. More like, it got smashed. Again, too many puns in this episode, but I like puns. Kraken and Smash, to me, were the weakest robot in this heat. I mean, as far as clusterbots go, they're the most sturdy. They can take hits, unlike the kegs, which I can't imagine beer barrels, beer kegs lasting very well. And the Swarm was too small to do much damage for the most part, apart from Blender. Kraken and Smash were the most balanced to the clusterbots, having a lot of armor and decent weight to them, but unfortunately, just in this heat particularly, I had a problem against Carbide last series, and this time against them again, although I never fought them, thankfully, but they still had Aftershock, Eruption, and Big Nipper to contend with, so they didn't really get away from the spinners and the really powerful flippers anytime soon, which is a shame, but you know what, Crackers and Smash, I love the team, they did well, and that's all I can say. Anyway, let's go on to the battles, of course. The first battle, Carbide, Gabriel 2, and Big Nipper. Big Nipper really wasn't much of it was a bit of a non-entity in this entire thing, because it didn't really work. It got a few hits and got hit a tiny bit, but didn't really do anything. Gabriel 2 is the star of the show, though, taking those hits from Carbide, and Carbide losing its wheel. That was right. Can someone please tell me how Carbide lost its half of its wheel? I don't see it. I don't see any way in that battle. I rewatched that battle a few times, and I can't see the point where Gabriel 2 hits it, or Big Nipper doesn't get a hit anywhere. So I don't know where the wheel came off, but it came off and it almost immobilized himself with a own tyre, which is hilarious, and Gabriel 2 would have won, but Gabriel, unfortunately for them, Carbide managed to get away and still had enough traction to come after them, but they survived the full 3 minutes against Carbide. How many robots can say they've done that? There's not many. There are not many, and Carbide tried to take out Gabriel 2, but Carbide is the worst robot to take out Gabriel because it's too low to the ground, its tyres deflect and reflect everything and just break a tiny bit. Couldn't hit the main part of the robot, the axle part, and thus they really had a massive disadvantage against Gabriel. And while Gabriel 2 didn't win, Carbide won the proper victory, Gabriel 2 won the moral victory, and I tip my imaginary hat to you, sir. That was an amazing fight, and absolutely enjoyed that. And Aftershock, Eruption, and Crackers and Smash, a bit of confusion with the Aftershock breaking the arena flipper. A lot of people found this controversial. I don't, personally, because the rules are, if they say cease, it's done. You don't just decide if it's over or not. And the damage to the arena flipper wasn't really that bad, where you could probably carry on anyway. It wasn't like a panel got flipped over, or the floor got torn away, like in Series 8, like Series 9. It was just a bit of the arena flipper, and they didn't say cease, so I don't really see a big controversy of it. And unfortunately, that did unfortunately lead to Aftershock getting flipped out because they weren't really paying attention and spinning down their weapon. And going out in style, though, hitting as far as I'm aware, the only robot I can think of that's flywheeled themselves out of the arena in Robot Wars. That's a first, I believe. Someone in the comments section, I'm sure, correct me if there isn't, but that's all I can remember. It's the first one. And Crackers and Smash, really, once Aftershock were gone, they didn't really stand a chance against Eruption, got flipped out. Very inconsequentially to Eruption, and they won easily. Then, obviously, the Redemptions. Gabriel 2 and Aftershock, it went the way I expected, unfortunately. While I love Gabriel, its biggest weakness is vertical spinners, because unlike horizontal spar spinners, like something like Ironside 3 or Carbide, they can actually hit the part of the body that you don't want to hit, the main axle. and this resulted in Gabriel 2 getting lots of hits against it. They got the tanglement device at one point used. He got the wrong side of the spinner and didn't really affect the spinning power of it, and thus managed to get one blow later on in the match, just took them out, and then Sakilot neutered them. Very nice. That was very nice of Sakilot. That was kind of painful to watch, actually. As Vote Saxon said, did anyone wince watching that? I'm sure people did, because it was kind of sad to watch. It was kind of painful, but not even just in a phallic sense. I just mean like in an emotional sense, because Gabriel's one of those robots. Part of its features is wheels and its massive axe, and you chop the axe off. At least the wheels didn't come off, but it was a shame. And seeing Gabriel 2 go out so early was a bit of a shame, because in their previous heat they were a heat finalist and potential wildcard. But you know what? Aftershock was probably the worst robot for them to go against. If they had to go against Carbide again, or maybe or Eruption, they probably had a bit, or Big Nipper, maybe they might have a good chance. But as it was, they were the worst robot, and they had to go, which is a shame. And then Crackers and Smash versus Big Nipper. All I can say is that Smash went into orbit and hit the arena lights. That was possibly my favourite moment of the heat, because it went flying. It went fucking flying. You see the bits of the light falling off, and Smash just broken at the bottom of the arena. And while it's repairable, it wasn't, damaged irreparably. It's the fact that it just went so far. What a lucky hit it had to get on that. It was commendable, and dare I say it, very, 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 very lucky indeed. But anyway, luck is part of Robot Wars, so what'd you expect? So yeah, Crackers and Smash did me some of a chance. Also, Crackers getting stuck underneath Sir Killot was a very funny highlight. Sir Killot trying to get rid of them whilst breaking Crackers at the same time. It was pretty funny, but ultimately it did kind of ruin Crackers in the long term, which is inevitable, I guess, having a 500 plus kilogram robot stuck on your tiny 50 kilogram robot body. So Big Nipper won that one, along with Aftershock in the previous battles. They get redeemed. Then Carbide versus Aftershock was the first of the two disappointing battles, because it went exactly the same way as you expected. It went virtually much the same way as it did in the semi-finals. Aftershock got hit in the body by Carbide. It broke a wheel, got stuck on one side, immobilized it. That was it. Both of Carbide's battles after the first round are really boring and just not interesting. It just goes exactly the same way you expected to see it happen, and it's not interesting. I'm sorry, it just isn't interesting. But Carbide still won that one. Eruption vs Big Dipper actually went on longer than I thought it would. In fact, it lasted the full 3 minutes, which I was very surprised, because I actually thought that Eruption was going to go for their standard strategy of flipping out the arena, and Big Nipper is not the most well-controlled robots in the world. They almost, they drove into the pit almost twice in Series 8, and they like to skid across the arena a lot. So I thought, sooner or later this is going to be a recipe for disaster. Not that great driver with a flipper out the arena. But no, it lasted a full 3 minutes. Eruption didn't take advantage of Big Nipper as much, and Big Nipper didn't, with its discs or teeth falling off, meant it wasn't really doing much damage to Aftershock, and it couldn't reach the body of Eruption. It couldn't reach the body of Eruption that well, so it couldn't really do anything. And it just kind of ended up as a kind of tug-of-war match where neither side could really do anything, and really Eruption was the only robot that could have possibly finished the deal, and it didn't. So yeah, it was all down to the driving skill, and I'll give credit to the Big Nipper team. They managed to avoid most of the dangers. And in the end, obviously, Eruption got the easy judge decision, because they were the most aggressive and more well-controlled throughout the entire fight. And then the third place playoff, Big Nipper was the biggest shock of all. Once again, no pun intended, but this was a massive shock, because I thought Aftershock had this. I thought all Aftershock thought they had to do was hit them around the side, or hit the side of Big Nipper, bend the wheels in, or break some of the armour off, and then they'd be immobilised. But no, Big Nipper actually survived a big hit, so did Aftershock. Took a few more did some damaging blows to Aftershock, and then flipped them onto the wheel, split their flywheel, unable to self-right because the wheel stopped, and they were out for the second year in a row. Aftershock lose because they got flipped over, not because they were demobilised, which is a real shame, because Aftershock, again, being a twice grand finalist with Shockwave and Aftershock, not making it into a grand final or having even a chance to make it into the grand final was a bit of a shame, not going to lie. But again, Big Nipper, represent Lancashire. Yeah, love you, Big Nipper. Please let me on your team next year if you do. That is not a selfish question. I'm just saying that. Anyway, and then finally, of course, the big battle: Carbide versus Eruption, the grand final rematch, and it was boring. Cause pretty much out in one hit. Carbide getting a really good shot on Eruption's wheel, and it went in pretty much the same way as the grand final. Although, admittedly, Eruption came off a lot better, as all it had was a bit of damage to a wheel on the side panel. I'd rather take that than damage to pretty much everything that Eruption took in Series 9. So, count your blessings, really. But yeah, that was Heat B of Series 10. Overall, I thought this was just as good as the last heat, if not slightly better. I will admit the battle quality, I think, was slightly better in the previous heat than this one. But the robots made up for it. I mean, Gabriel 2 was really entertaining. Big Nipper was a big surprise. Aftershock was a bit of a disappointment, but again, it's kind of expected in this heat. Kraken Smash basically did as what I expected they were going to do. Eruption fared quite well, and Carbide was the MVP of the entire heat once again. So, yeah, it was pretty much a landslide for Carbide, even if it did take some, occasional problems with their wheel and batteries. Overall, I gave the previous heat, I think, about a 7.5, something like that, I think it was, or 8. I give this one a 7.5, honestly, because it was a good heat. It was very interesting to watch the robots. Both the later Carbide battles are disappointing. They went exactly the way expected, and almost did, like they did in the grand final. Some robots like Kraken Smash didn't do well. Eruption was kind of boring to watch throughout this heat, apart from the first batch. But overall, yeah, it was still a great heat, above average. Definitely a 7.5 out of 10. Next time we have like Terahertz and Apex, which is going to be the one I'm looking forward to the most. I want to see Apex's rocking guitar spin around, and also see Traction. We get to see Will Thomas is not out of it yet, because his pupils will have a chance to get to the grand final. Will they do well? We don't know. Let's find out. We'll find out in Heat C on Sunday, or coming up to you next Monday. So I'm Jimjamatic, signing off.